It's the year 2025, and I think that we can say that as a species, we have never been sicker. But why? How can that be? The quality of life should have been extremely high. This should have been the pinnacle of our civilization. Maybe it's because we're outsourcing our intuition and health to others, scientists, all kinds of institutions, medication, you name it. We are being told to take vaccines to protect us from the sun, eat processed food, drink the safe tap water, and do all kinds of other things that have never been normal in our history. My name is Daniel, and when I developed a chronic illness 10 years ago, I was stuck for many years and I waited for science to come with a solution. And I kept waiting. It never came. I had a health insurance, but it didn't cover anything. I realized that I had to take the matters back into my own hands. I had to figure this out myself. And I did. And by stepping outside of the box, I fully healed myself. I'm healthier than ever. And you know what the first thing was after I felt better? It was to terminate my health insurance. And I'm not recommending anybody else to do this, because most people don't have the trust and the faith in order to do this. But think about it. The science even says this: people without a health insurance are healthier than people with a health insurance. Let me take you on a journey in this podcast and to really dive into what it means to fully trust your body and to create a beautiful love story between you and your body. Let's dive into this topic. Yes, welcome. I absolutely love the intro. And I love making podcasts. I haven't made them in a while, and I'm looking forward to make them more often because I can really dive deeper into the topics here. And to start with, the most controversial thing is that I terminated my health insurance. It's something that is actually very difficult to do as a European, but there are always ways. That's what I learned when I had a chronic illness. There are always ways to do things. Experimenting with health and my body feels just so pleasant. I feel alive when I do this. Healing myself from chronic fatigue syndrome was a beautiful journey that taught me a lot, and I sort of missed it when it was over. So I needed to expand my limits, do more crazy stuff, and I will reveal that by the end of this podcast. And maybe for the first time ever, let's have a disclaimer here. Don't follow up on my advice. Think about it for yourself and use this as inspiration. Because I would like to share with you that there is just so much more possible than what we believe as a species. We have so many limited beliefs about ourselves, our health, our conditions, our species, about life. Bruce Lipton wrote a book called The Biology of Belief. But if we want to replace our current limited beliefs, then what should we replace it with? So let's go really back to the basics. How have we humans been living as a species for thousands of years? Our world is actually a world of abundance. There is not much need to do stuff. There is enough. There is abundance. There is enough place. There is enough food. Yet somehow we as a species have chosen to believe in limitation and scarcity. And from that moment we enter survival mode. Fight or flight. And most people spend over 80% of their time in the fight or flight mode of the nervous system. And the nervous system is not a separate thing. It's not like you can say you can blame the nervous system that it's being dysregulated. No. By taking back responsibility of your health, you have to say, I am dysregulated. And when you become dysregulated, then you can regulate yourself. And you do that by connecting with the very thing that you don't want to feel, that keeps you in the fight or flight mode. Because fight or flight means that you're running away from something. And that specific something, if that's scarcity, then that's an illusion. Most of our limited beliefs and these painful, difficult emotions are caused by illusions. And when we all agree on these illusions, science can confirm this. Yes, indeed, this is a limitation of the human body. Yet, sports tells us a completely different story. When Usain Bolt ran 9.69 seconds in 2008 and then 9.58 seconds in 2009, he proved that it was possible. And soon after, a wave of sprinters began running under 9.80, something that had seemed unreachable, and this happened again and again and again in all kinds of sports. And right now, most people are actually starting to believe that they can heal from a chronic illness. This was not the case a few decades ago. People had a chronic illness for their entire life. It was deemed to believe that you can never heal. But now one after another is actually doing it. And I'm saying this to encourage you, not to make you feel bad about yourself that you are the only one that can't heal. That's not the reason why I'm saying this, so don't worry. Because I've been stuck like you in a time where it was deemed impossible to heal. Let's get back to the way that human beings used to live before they entered chronically the fight or flight mode. It was a time of abundance and enough space. People were following the circadian rhythm. There were no medication. They had to purify or clean their own water. And they had connection with each other. All of these things are missing right now. And whether you are a person with a chronic illness or going for a community in order to get something, I think it's time to take one step back. Everything that we desire in this world should be given by ourselves to ourselves first. So a really good question is like, what do I actually desire? Is it to be seen? Is it to be heard? Is it to be loved? And if so, then how can you give that to yourself? And how can you give that to your body? What kind of messages are you giving to your body? Is it a message of trust and faith or of disbelief and fear? When I go back to the health insurance that I canceled, it's the thing that when you have a problem, you go to the doctor, you outsource your health, and the doctor gives you maybe a diagnosis. Maybe that diagnosis is very frightening. When I received my diagnosis of ME/CFS and when I started Googling it, it was very frightening. As a result, I got stressed and my health declined. So although people would like to help each other with these diagnoses, maybe they're doing the exact opposite. That doesn't mean that you can have a good diagnosis and that a good diagnosis in the right time can save your life. But on average, the skill sort of goes negative to this. Yet, when you go to the doctor, when you receive that label, I mean, this very specific loaded label with a lot of fear and other emotions attached, you might become very stressed. Then it's immediately about fighting the disease, right? And how do you fight it? With a lot of stress hormones, fight or flight. You dysregulate yourself by fighting an illness. I believe right now that illnesses don't exist. Yes, and maybe this is part of language, how we're actually speaking to ourselves, with ourselves, about our health. Because the way I see it, the body reacts and speaks to you. Sometimes it makes you sick, for example, with a fever. Sometimes it creates a tumor. Sometimes it gives a symptom like fatigue. And the way that I see it is that the body is trying to find homeostasis. The body is in those moments actually trying to heal. If you would be too weak, you can't develop a fever, for example, and then you'll just die from a bacterial infection. So a lot of people with a chronic illness, they are overly stressed. And one of the things that they need to learn is how to relax. After relaxation, their body usually gets what they call a viral infection. Somehow, life just gets to them. Another virus, they get sick, and a fever, and after that, they probably feel worse. So, a lot of people are afraid of viruses. They believe in the germ theory. Now, I must say, I'm very, very critical on the germ theory. I can't really say that I really believe that viruses exist or don't exist, yet I choose to change my beliefs around this. And I choose to believe that viruses serve a purpose. And the purpose is then to create homeostasis. What we're seeing with chronic illnesses is that people develop, for example, COVID or Epstein-Barr virus. Then after that, they don't really recover anymore. What happens in those moments is that the body is cleansing itself. We store a lot of junk in our cells. And these viruses, whether the body makes it itself or whether they come from the outside world, they clean that. It's like a cellular cleanse. And then after that, emotions can come to the surface, emotions that we have stored in the body. And then people get sick with mind-body symptoms. And a mind-body symptom can give you flu-like symptoms. It can give you a headache. It can give you a migraine, chronic pain, chronic fatigue, visual snow syndrome, burning mouth syndrome, all of these types of syndromes. Long COVID or mast cell activation syndrome. All of these labels are just aiming to describe your symptoms without offering a solution. And of course, if this is your diagnosis, which is a false diagnosis, which doesn't offer a treatment, then if you believe that you have this illness, then it becomes chronic because you're sort of distracted from the things that you should be doing. If the limbic system of the brain detects a danger and creates a symptom out of the freeze response to scare you away from life, to make you go to bed, then it does that because of emotional overwhelm. And if you learn how to deal with that emotional overwhelm, you can immediately regulate yourself and the symptoms wind down almost instantly. So that's a full release. It's pretty difficult in the beginning because we're dealing with a society of people that have been taught to suppress, dismiss, reject their own emotions ever since they were little children. And how to reverse that. I think that healing is reversing all the stupid beliefs that we have been told. It's probably easier to do the exact opposite. That's probably the easiest way to heal yourself. And it doesn't mean that if you're doing everything the exact opposite, then that's the right thing to do. But probably it's better than continuing the way that you have been brought up. Most people have all of these emotions suppressed in their body: anger, fear, disgust, grief, sadness. All of these things don't make you feel really good. And most people are afraid of dealing with other people's emotions. Think about it. When you have a child and your child is angry, can you actually allow that anger on you? The child is angry on you. Or do you treat the child the exact same way that you have been treating yourself by dismissing the child and learning it to become like you? Is that healthy? Or should we do the exact opposite? We're always afraid. When I was young, teachers were telling me to do things because otherwise I might fail in life. Right now, I can say that following up on that advice made me fail in life. And this happens again and again and again. Everything that you try to avoid will eventually manifest. It's like a cruel joke from life. And if you try to avoid something, then there is fear. Now let this fear be the exact reason that you can't trust your body, that you think that you need medication, or that you can't do certain things, or that your symptoms are there for the rest of your life, or that you can't heal. It's all fear. So the state of not having trust in your body resembles an emotional state. And this is the best news that you're going to have probably in your lifetime. Fear. Fear is a temporary emotional state. Fear is just an emotion. Feel an emotion through and the emotion is gone. And this is the answer that everyone has been looking for. How to have trust in your body is not by dismissing the fear and pretending that you trust your body. It's again the exact opposite. It's really about feeling the fear and trying to complete the fear response. What were you afraid of at that time? Can you feel this through? Can you allow yourself to be afraid? And this is so simple that it sounds absolutely stupid for most people. I think that a lot of you maybe found a video of mine when you just started your healing journey, but you couldn't really listen to it. You was like, what is this guy saying? I don't want to listen to this. And then after a while, you probably come back because you realized I planted a seed inside of you. There is something about this that is true. You are always in communication with yourself. Your body is communicating with you, and it's responding to your thoughts and words. So what are the things that you're telling yourself? Are you justifying your health problems by saying that you are sick, that you have an illness? I used to do this. But the thing is, it doesn't help you. It's sort of like confirming your body that it needs to stay in this way. And it's also confirming the body that you have zero trust in it. And the body, therefore, has zero trust in you. This is your relationship right now. You both don't like each other. That's just the way it is. And I really see the body as something external sometimes, because the body does all kinds of things. If I want to raise my arm, it just happens. I have no idea how it does, how I do it. My heart is beating. My digestion works. Respiration works. I can open my eyes. I can move my head. Everything works. It's amazing, right? And I have no idea how. So obviously, I am not my body. I have a body. And the body works perfectly. Unless there is one thing that you think that it does wrong. And then people are saying, like, I have a dysregulated nervous system. Or I have blah, 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 blah. But maybe the judgment that you've made around this is completely wrong. The problem was never with the body. The problem was with you. And again, that's probably amazing news. You can change yourself. You can change your beliefs. You can change the way that you speak to yourself. You can change your habits. You can change your urgency to suppress emotions. You can change your addiction to fight or flight chemicals. You can change your personality when that's created out of trauma to not feel your emotions. Achieving, performing, pleasing, all of these actions that resemble fight, flight, or hide. But fight, flight, or hide from what? From an emotion. Where is the emotion? Now, you have to understand that these mind-body symptoms, they're screaming louder than the emotion because they want to protect you from your emotions. They serve you. It's a gift from your body for you because you have programmed yourself that you don't want to feel your emotions. Your body responds to that. But at the moment where you can't really suppress your emotions anymore because they're coming to the surface, your body does you a favor. It creates a freeze response because it seems too overwhelming. And in order to distract you from your emotions, it gives you pain, it gives you fatigue, it gives you vertigo, it gives you nausea. And then you need to focus on that. Your body saved the day. It does you a favor. And I know that's hard to believe. As you begin to regulate yourself, you'll experience more moments of what we can call health. It seems to be linear. You have put in a lot of effort, and gradually you can improve yourself with some ups and downs. And then one day you can say that you have recovered. It doesn't work that way. Because the next time when something comes to the surface, your brain might still think, or your body might still think, that creating a crash or a migraine attack is the best thing for you in that moment. So then people call it a relapse, a remission, and they are scared of that. That's because they still haven't really understood the connection between their emotions and their symptoms. And being scared for your health is probably enhancing it, because when you have taught yourself to not feel your fear, your body immediately goes in overthinking, fight or flight, and if you have an excessive amount of fight or flight, you keep stressing yourself. That creates the freeze response, and that creates the symptoms. So the fear of the symptoms will cause the symptoms. Everything is upside down, even on television. Everything that people tell you, if you completely reverse that, you're probably closer to the truth. Maybe not exactly, but closer. And it's probably time for another disclaimer. I will never challenge science, because science is the new religion, especially all the research that has been made out of commercial interest. I think it's absolutely beautiful. After this funny disclaimer, you're still here, so thank you. Could you subscribe to the channel, rate it on Spotify, give a thumbs up, and write a comment in the comment section. Maybe write down what the thing is that you struggle to have trust in. Thank you so much. If you would like to work with me, even after all this controversial stuff, then consider joining the release program and work with us. We take you hand by hand, step by step, in this entire healing process. And I think that trust in your body is a natural consequence of doing the release work, dealing with the fear. Fear is the only issue here, because even the symptoms is a fear response. There are, of course, other types of, let's call them still illnesses. I don't believe they are illnesses, that are different from chronic illnesses. But since I'm not an expert in that area, I'd like to not say a lot about it. But for example, when I am struggling with health stuff myself, for example, something develops, or a friend of mine has something, I always look it up in Germanic New Medicine and see what they have to say about it. Now, I'm not completely trusting everything, because I do like to combine it with my own knowledge of emotional healing and my own knowledge of the body. But very often, when it's not a chronic illness, they are spot on. What they are telling is that the body sort of like is normal, then a shock happens, then after the shock, the body goes into an adaptation phase. And then, depending on how long that stressful adaptation phase was, a phase that helps you to stay in fight or flight for a longer period of time, the body after that needs to undo that. A lot of illnesses that we perceive to be illnesses are actually attempts of the body to undo an adaptation phase. So that's what I would like to say about that. It has been spot on in many, many cases of clients as well. And it oftentimes tells you exactly what you need to process, what kind of emotional pain is there. And it was pretty scientific as well, as he could see, for example, in a brain scan, what happened to people and what will happen health-wise to people. Also, it also worked the other way around. If people had health issues, he could predict a brain scan with seeing some weird stuff in those scans. Other people are like, no, 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 that's just something weird. Anyway, he was predicting that, and he could also tell you exactly what happened before. And in a lot of times, he was absolutely right. Yet he did say a lot of controversial stuff, and he did say quite a lot of stuff that I don't agree with. But still, his core message is that the body is working for you and not against you. And that's a hopeful message. I received as well some questions, and thank you so much for sending them. I am, by the way, going to create another podcast next week. And if you would like to send me questions, then you can do so via the link that I put in the description. And then you can record with your voice a message on my website. And I'll put that in the podcast. So that will be really cool. And then we can collaborate and make a podcast together. And that podcast will be about me. So if you have any questions about me, then I'd like to answer them. And right now, let's go back to the questions that I received. I received a question like, how can we be creative and have responsibility? How can we follow our soul plan and still function as a human being? And I think that, yes, I think this is something that you have to just do. Just like healing, you have to just do it. You can be creative, and being creative is the most responsible thing for you to do. We humans are creative beings. Yet because we have suppressed ourselves and suppressed our creativity, we all pretend that we don't have it. But everyone that heals becomes more creative. By doing that, you sort of like let your soul speak through your body. That's when life becomes really ecstatic. That's when you get into the flow. That's when things will happen. Maybe if you believe in manifestation, then this is exactly what you need to reach. It's a moment of flow where you let go, because usually our minds are just stopping things, We want to do something, but then our minds are like, no, wait, what if? And then we stop. And then we're out of the flow. And that doesn't mean that you need to go full crazy or maybe kill people. But I think that all of these things that we are afraid of are consequences of unresolved emotional states. For example, anger. So in the healing journey, it's about learning how to release anger and all these other emotions, for example, disgust, in a safe, controlled way by yourself, not afflicting pain or discomfort to other people. So another question is, how can I have trust in my body on bad days? You don't. You can be very afraid. But be it in a way that you fully feel the fear. And then you release it. And then the fear is gone. And then you're fearless for a while until new fear arises, usually because of limited beliefs that you slowly need to change. Maybe the symptoms that you have on a bad day are being caused by suppressed fear coming to the surface, maybe by anger, but the symptoms will always give you fear, right? So always dive into this fear first and make it bigger. Imagine that you will never heal. Feel that through. And then after that, you can go deeper. What was actually the cause of these symptoms? Where can you feel it along your organs? Is it in your throat? Is it in your gut? And maybe you can do one of the healing meditations. For example, I put quite an advanced inner child meditation on our website. and you can connect with the very stressor beneath your symptoms. And if you manage to resolve that, and that costs some effort in the beginning, because you need a few more steps before that, like to create safety and to prepare, so to normalize these emotions. But if you manage to do that, then the symptom wasn't just another giant message from your body that there was something that you need to feel through, and you become thankful. In fact, I have arrived at the moment where I thank my symptoms, and I would love to have more symptoms. I would love to wake up in a crash, because that allows me to dive into my body, to release more emotions like fear, for example, and as well to become aware of limited beliefs that were still influencing my life, that were still creating fight or flight, that were still screwing up my life. Beliefs that we got from our society, from teachers, from parents, from other school kids. And that's an opportunity then to undo that belief and to reverse that and to tell yourself, especially after resolving the fear, from now on, I'll choose to do this, to believe this, to be someone else, to, for example, be someone that doesn't need their health insurance. And that belief by itself, it can be another one, is extremely powerful. All right, another question is about ancestral trauma, patterns that have been repeating itself over generations, and can you heal that? The answer is yes, and the answer is also that this is your task right now. I think that a lot of us have come to this planet to incarnate in these bodies, to take the burden upon us, and that will eventually free the human race from decades or generations of limitations. We had wars, we had people manipulating us into believing all kinds of negative stuff, of creating the divide and conquer thing. There's a lot of misery, especially in the last 1,000 years, if history is the way that they tell you that it is. And we are here to solve that. That's not an easy thing. It's quite a task. It's not something that you can do in a year. I needed several years of releasing, daily releases. Every day crying a little bit, or shaking, shivering, vomiting, burping. Every day connecting with my body. Every day hoping that I have a symptom, because I had symptoms every day. And I managed almost every day to fully release it and to become symptom-free. And all of the tricks that I learned myself together with Valentina, together became the release program. But the release program was a bit too intense for most people. Most people are not really ready to do this type of stuff because they are still holding on to limited beliefs and the old trauma personality that they have created. So in order to facilitate this process to more people, we have been working on gradual safety and going a little bit slower, being a little bit kinder to the body, which I think is also very good because now we can help more people, especially people who are just new in this chronic illness scene, who have no idea what's going on with them, who haven't been bedbound for many years, and who experience the overwhelm of the symptoms, and not just the ones that were ill for already a decade or two. Then another question is from someone that wants to have a release, but every time, right at the moment when they connect with an emotion, they'll stop crying. Yeah, there has not been created enough safety around feeling a specific emotion, and the act of releasing, which also indicates that you need to cry and to be overwhelmed. That needs to be prepared, for example, with journaling, in a way that you connect these emotional releases or emotional feelings with safety. Not in an attempt to go all in, to, for example, like I think Nicole Sachs is making from journaling a pretty heavy tool, sort of like hoping for the best. No, the only way that we recommend doing this is to normalize the experience of feeling emotions by slowly connecting with an emotion and then creating safety around that. For example, by doing something soothing. And over time, you will teach yourself that you can feel more of this emotion without being overwhelmed. And then it becomes easier to cry. And it's my job in life to make people cry. Okay. So those were the questions. If you would like to record on my website some questions about me, about my process, because I've been chronically ill for a very long time, and I'm right now working as a coach or someone with a program for several years. I've worked with hundreds of people, thousands, I think. And I would love to answer your questions. So you can record them on the website, and then I can put them in the podcast. That will be amazing, right? And then finally, I'll come back to the crazy things that I have been trying. And I'll tell you this. I saw my dog drinking water from the river a few days in a row, and he did not get sick. And then I thought, why is his immune system better than mine? What if I choose that my immune system is just as good as his? And I started drinking from the river, and I have not been drinking tap water for over 6 months. I was drinking unclean water, sometimes even muddy water, and I chose to believe that that is possible. And indeed, it was possible. I did not get sick once. So for me, experiment succeeded, but again, I will never recommend people to do this because people want to heal their chronic illness. So that's what I'm helping them with, and people are not willing to experiment drinking water. So don't try this at home. And another experiment that I am doing right now, something that makes me very excited, is because I still don't know if this works, Just like when I was healing from my chronic illness, it was excited. It was learning about my body. It was talking with myself. It was learning the intuitive connection. It was experimenting. And this is the exact same thing. So when I had a chronic illness, in the beginning year, I lost a lot of hair. And maybe that's normal. Maybe that's just male pattern baldness. But my brother doesn't have that. He still has a full head of hair. So right now I'm working on getting my hair back without medication, completely natural. And I've been doing it for like 6 weeks. And after just 1 week, my entire skull was full of baby hairs. Well, I don't know if they'll become real hairs because they call the real hairs terminal hairs, which sounds like they're about to die. But I'll come back to this, and you can just observe the process in the videos that I'm going to make. Maybe this is going to work, or maybe this is a failed project. Who knows? Thank you so much for joining me in this podcast. It's an honor, and I wish you a beautiful healing journey and a lot of trust in your body.